Most companies don't fail because of bad ideas. They fail because they never made a real strategic choice in the first place. A company with 200 employees just lost their biggest client. The CEO calls an emergency meeting and says, "We need a new strategy." So everyone spends the next 3 weeks building a 90-page slide deck full of beautiful charts and color-coded timelines. It gets presented to the board, everyone nods approvingly, and then the whole thing sits in a shared drive collecting digital dust. That is not strategy. That is corporate theater. Today, I am going to break down what business strategy actually is, why most companies get it completely wrong, and how the best organizations in the world use it to dominate their markets. Strategy is not a plan. A plan tells you what to do on Monday morning. Strategy tells you what you are going to say no to this quarter, this year, and for the foreseeable future. That distinction matters more than anything else you will hear today. Roger Martin, former dean of the Rotman School of Management, defines strategy as an integrated set of choices that positions you to win. Not choices that keep you busy. Not choices that make the board feel productive. Choices that create a genuine, sustainable advantage over your competitors. Think about Southwest Airlines in the 1990s. They did not try to compete with every airline on every route. They chose short-haul flights, a single aircraft type, no assigned seats, and absurdly fast gate turnarounds. Every single decision reinforced every other decision. That is what makes strategy powerful. Not any one brilliant choice, but how all the choices lock together into a system that competitors cannot easily copy. The first real question in strategy is deceptively simple: where will you compete? This means picking your market, your customer segment, your geography, and sometimes even the specific problems you will refuse to solve. Most companies skip this question entirely. They try to serve everyone, chase every opportunity, and end up serving no one particularly well. IKEA chose young, cost-conscious buyers who would happily trade delivery and assembly for dramatically lower prices. Netflix chose streaming when Blockbuster still believed people wanted to drive to a physical store on Friday night. The critical insight here is that where to play is not really about opportunity. It is about sacrifice. Real strategy requires you to look at a profitable customer segment and say out loud, "That is not for us." That takes a kind of discipline that most leadership teams simply do not have, because saying no to revenue feels wrong even when it is the smartest thing you can do. Once you have decided where you are playing, the next question is how you will actually win in that specific space. This is where your value proposition lives. You either win on cost, you win on differentiation, or you win by being so deeply focused on a narrow niche that nobody else bothers to compete with you. Michael Porter outlined these generic strategies decades ago, and they still hold up remarkably well. Apple does not win on price. They win because the ecosystem they have built, hardware, software, services, all tightly integrated, creates switching costs that feel invisible until you actually try to leave. Costco wins on cost by keeping margins razor-thin and generating profit through membership fees instead of product markup. The mistake that kills most companies is trying to be both cheap and premium at the same time. You end up stuck in the middle, which Porter specifically warned is the most dangerous position in business. Pick your lane and commit to it fully. Strategy without capability is just a wish list pinned to the wall. Once you decide where to play and how to win, you need to build the internal machine that actually makes it real. Amazon decided early on to win on convenience and selection. So they built fulfillment centers across the country, invested billions in logistics infrastructure, and created Prime to lock in long-term customer behavior. The capability matched the strategy perfectly. When there is a gap between what your strategy promises and what your organization can actually deliver, execution falls apart almost immediately. You see this constantly. A company announces they are going digital first, but their entire IT department is still maintaining legacy systems built in 2008. Nobody has the skills, the tools, or the budget to deliver on the new vision. Strategy demands an honest, sometimes uncomfortable assessment of what you can actually do today, not what your leadership retreat whiteboard says you aspire to become. The biggest myth about strategy is that you create it once and then execute faithfully for the next 5 years. The world does not sit still while you run your playbook. Nokia had a dominant strategy for mobile phones right up until the iPhone completely redefined what a phone could be. Kodak actually invented digital photography technology and then chose to ignore it because film was still too profitable to walk away from. Good strategists treat their strategy like a living system, not a framed document on the wall. They run small experiments constantly. They watch for early signals that the market is shifting underneath them. They ask uncomfortable questions in meetings, like what would make our entire current strategy irrelevant overnight. Jeff Bezos built Amazon around things he believed would never change. Customers will always want lower prices, faster delivery, and wider selection. Anchoring your strategy to durable truths instead of temporary trends is what separates companies that adapt from companies that disappear. Here is what I want you to do right now, before you close this video. Take whatever you are working on, your business, your team, even your own career, and write down answers to 2 questions on a piece of paper. Where am I choosing to compete? And what is my specific advantage in that space? If you cannot answer both questions clearly in 1 sentence each, you do not have a strategy yet. And honestly, that is perfectly okay. Clarity comes from wrestling with the question, not from having a perfect answer on day 1. If this helped you think differently about strategy, hit subscribe for more breakdowns like this one. I will see you in the next one. That's a wrap. Thanks for watching. If this gave you one idea you can use today, hit like and subscribe. See you in the next one.